The story opens in an alien council chamber as the galaxy's most powerful factions watch in disbelief as a long-forgotten human weapon, Earth's first Star-Annihilator, is awakened. It is a weapon capable of erasing entire star systems. The alien factions, once dismissive of humanity, are struck with fear as they realize that the humans have awakened a power unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. A brief shift to the human side reveals the commander's quiet resolve as they prepare for what comes next. The alien council was filled with tension. Officers from different galaxies and species shifted nervously in their seats. The holographic display in front of them showed an anomaly, a strange signal coming from the depths of the Terran system, a signal that was unmistakably human. The chief of the council leaned forward, eyes narrowing in disbelief. "Impossible!" The voice of Commander Zarek, a being of immense intelligence and power, muttered. "Humanity doesn't have the technology for this." Another officer, and elder alien with far more experience, raised a trembling hand. "They couldn't. This is beyond anything their primitive species could comprehend." But before they could protest further, the holographic display flickered to life, and the signal intensified. The ships across the galaxy froze as a deep hum vibrated through the stars. The screen expanded to reveal the silhouette of a massive construct, a massive human-made machine, its size dwarfing anything the aliens had ever seen. It was the Terran Star-Annihilator, the weapon that had been conceived and built in the darkest corners of Earth, designed to protect humanity from any threat. It had been sealed away, hidden in deep space for centuries, but now it was awake. The alien council watched, paralyzed in horror, as the weapon's systems activated. The core of the weapon began to hum louder, sending shockwaves across the system. The deep, resonating sound of a countdown began to echo from the Star-Annihilator. The alien leaders exchanged desperate glances, realizing that they were powerless to stop it. The humans had kept this weapon hidden, and now it was activated. Back on Earth, Commander Ryan Clark watched the countdown from his command center, his fingers hovering over the activation keys. He had known this day would come. After centuries of war, humanity had built this weapon to ensure their survival, hidden from the galaxy's prying eyes, but ready when needed. His voice was calm but steady as he ordered the final preparations. "Let them see what happens when they push humanity to the brink." The countdown reached 0, and for a brief moment, everything went still. Then, the weapon's power surged through the void, sending a pulse of energy across the stars, a pulse strong enough to destroy anything in its path. The alien fleet, still uncertain and afraid, could only watch in terror as the Star-Annihilator's weapon fired. One chilling voice echoed through the Terran communication channels. "The galaxy burns." The alien council, shaken to their core, could do nothing but stare in disbelief. Humanity had awakened a force that would change everything. No longer would they be seen as a weak species to be dismissed. The tremor of power still vibrated through the vast emptiness of space, a residual echo from the Terran Star-Annihilator's devastating pulse. The galaxy had just witnessed the unimaginable. Earth's once dismissed humanity had wielded a weapon so immense, so absolute, that it seemed to defy the natural order of the cosmos. The alien empires, long regarded as the dominant forces in the galaxy, had just been shown their vulnerability, but that was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, in the conference chambers of the Alien Alliance, panic had begun to set in. Leaders from several powerful factions, long accustomed to lording over less advanced species, were now huddled together in desperate deliberation. The Terran weapon had struck first, obliterating entire systems, erasing the lives of trillions, and rendering their most advanced fleets helpless. The signal was clear, and it was terrifying. Earth had come to claim its place. In the midst of the council, one alien leader, a formidable being named Zarek, stared at the hollow projector in front of him, which displayed the remnants of the Nezari Empire's once mighty fleet. The alien race, known for their ruthless military might and technological supremacy, was now shattered, their ships reduced to floating debris. Nothing had prepared them for the sheer magnitude of the Terran assault. "Do we have any semblance of control?" Zarek's voice was strained, his fingers trembling as he navigated through the broken system-wide sensors. "How is this possible? How did they breach our shields, bypass our cloaking technology, and destroy our fleets without warning?" A voice from the corner of the chamber broke the silence. "We did not underestimate them," said Commander Vex of the Nezari Empire. We simply never expected them to have such a weapon. This Star-Annihilator is beyond anything we've ever seen." Zarek turned to face him, his anger barely contained. "Of course you never expected it. You didn't even think Earth had the capability to build such a machine. We thought they were insignificant. Now look at the consequences of that assumption." Vex clenched his fists. "We were blind, but we can still turn this around. We must unite, all of us. This is a fight for the survival of our species. If we don't join forces, we'll be wiped out." The alien leaders exchanged tense glances. The initial shock of the Terran weapon had given way to the realization that the galaxy could no longer afford to treat Earth as a weak species. Zarek's harsh tone shifted, as did the atmosphere in the room. "You're right, Vex," Zarek finally said, his voice heavy with the weight of inevitability. "We cannot ignore them. We have only one chance to strike back before they grow." Too powerful? The alien council was quick to rally, with factions that had once been enemies now discussing terms of uneasy cooperation. It was a desperate measure, but it was all they had left. They could no longer afford to underestimate Earth. Meanwhile, aboard the Terran warship, the atmosphere was eerily calm. Commander Michael Foster stood at the helm, watching the galaxy unfold before him on the bridge. The soft hum of the ship's advanced engines was the only sound that punctuated the otherwise silent room. The warship was cloaked, and it had just finished its first devastating strike, erasing an entire alien system from existence. But Foster knew that victory, for now, wasn't about destroying one alien race. It was about sending a message. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Humanity was no longer the forgotten species lost in the cosmos. They were now a force to be reckoned with. Foster's fingers lightly grazed the console as he contemplated the next step. He didn't want to be a conqueror, but he knew that the Terran weapon was not simply for defense, it was for survival. And if the galaxy was determined to make humanity its enemy, then the consequences of that decision would be felt across every star system. "Commander," May's voice broke through his thoughts. "We've received a message from the alien fleet. It's a distress signal. They're asking for a ceasefire." Foster's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing for a moment. The signal was no surprise. The aliens had just experienced the brutal efficiency of Earth's weapon, and now they were scrambling. "What's their tone?" he asked. May's fingers flew over the control panel, decrypting the message. "They're scared, sir. They're requesting a meeting. They want to negotiate." Foster smiled coldly. "Negotiate?" he scoffed. "After what they've done to humanity, they think they can negotiate." His voice hardened. "We'll do no such thing." "But, sir," May interjected, her voice hesitant, "it might give us a strategic advantage. If we show mercy now, they might be forced to submit without further bloodshed. It could expedite the end of the war." Foster turned slowly, his eyes locking with hers. "We're not here to show mercy, Lieutenant. We're here to ensure that humanity is never again treated like a second-class species." The quiet tension on the bridge was thick. May held Foster's gaze but said nothing more. She understood the weight of his words. This was not just about ending the war, it was about ensuring humanity's survival and establishing Earth's place as a dominant force in the galaxy. "We'll send a message of our own," Foster said finally. "If they want to surrender, they will have to do so on our terms." The crew quickly got to work, readying the ship for another strike. The alien fleet, desperate to regroup, was gathering its forces for what they assumed would be the decisive battle. The remaining systems were already rallying behind them, unsure of how to respond to Earth's power. As the Terran warship moved forward, Foster's mind focused on the upcoming battle. He knew the next move would determine the course of the war. There was no turning back now. The galaxy's most powerful forces were aligning against Earth, but they were unaware of just how far humanity had come. The battle for galactic supremacy was about to begin, and humanity was ready to make its mark. The alien fleets had amassed in the void of space, their forces now joined in a fragile alliance. The once proud empires of the Nizari, the Krill and the Orson had come together in a final desperate attempt to stave off their annihilation. They knew they were on the verge of losing everything. But what choice did they have? Their fleets, however, were no match for the Terran warship's firepower. Foster had ordered the ship to remain cloaked, and now it moved closer to the massed alien forces, picking off ships one by one. The Terran weapons, gravity distortion, cannons, EMP bursts, and quantum disruptors ripped through the alien fleet, decimating their defenses. The remaining alien ships scrambled to retaliate, but they were no longer fighting with the confidence they once had. Fear and doubt had taken hold. Foster's voice was steady as he commanded his crew. "We will show them that they never should have challenged humanity. Hit them where it hurts." The alien fleets had gathered at the outer rim of the Nizari capital system, but the Terran warship was already slipping between their lines. They couldn't detect it. They couldn't even track it. Within moments, the first alien capital ship disintegrated in a flash of light, its systems fried by a precise EMP strike. Chaos erupted within the alien ranks. "What the hell is going on?" Commander Zarek yelled, his hands trembling as he tried to coordinate the fleet. "They're everywhere. They're attacking from every angle." The Nizari fleet was losing control. Ships were firing blindly, unaware of where the true threat lay. Foster's voice rang out over the comms. "This is humanity. You've had your warning. Surrender now or face total destruction." The alien fleets, now hopelessly scattered, were torn apart by the relentless precision of the Terran warship. Foster's orders were calm, deliberate, each strike meticulously planned, and with each passing moment, the alien resistance faltered more. The power of the Terran warship was undeniable, and the once proud alien empires were helpless against it. In the void, the galaxy burned, and Earth's dominance began to take shape. The alien fleets were disintegrating before them. No matter how desperately the remaining alien forces tried to regroup, they were no match for the relentless precision of the Terran warship. Foster watched the destruction unfold from the command center, his eyes locked onto the main holographic display. The alien ships, once formidable and proud, were now nothing more than shattered debris floating through the void. The Terran warship, still cloaked, moved silently from one alien vessel to the next, striking with deadly force. "Sir," Lieutenant May's voice broke through the silence. "The alien fleets are in full retreat. They can't hold their ground any longer." Foster nodded, his eyes still fixed on the destruction around him. "Don't let up. They need to feel the weight of their actions. Continue the assault until they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they cannot win." May acknowledged the order, and the crew continued their work. The warship's EMP bursts and gravity distortion cannons had torn through the alien lines, their fleets collapsing under the weight of Earth's power. The message was loud and clear. Humanity was no longer to be underestimated. As the Terran Warship moved deeper into the alien stronghold. Foster couldn't shake the feeling of quiet satisfaction. This was not just about military victory. It was about ensuring humanity's survival. It was about making sure the galaxy understood that Earth would never again be dismissed, never again left vulnerable to the whims of alien empires. The communication systems buzzed, and a new signal came through, crackling with interference. It was a distress signal, one that Foster had anticipated. It was from Commander Vex, the leader of the Nizari Empire, the same alien who had once so confidently brushed off humanity as insignificant. Foster's voice was calm, unyielding as he activated the comms. "Put him through!" Vex's image flickered onto the screen. His once proud face was now gaunt, filled with the weight of defeat. His eyes were wide with fear and desperation. "Terran Commander!" he shouted, his voice tinged with both anger and fear. "You cannot do this. You've taken everything from us. Our fleets, our colonies, our pride. We will not bend to you." Foster's expression remained emotionless. "Commander Vex," he began, his tone chilling, "you had your chance to surrender. You had the opportunity to avoid this, but you chose war. And now you will pay the price." The alien leader's fists clenched. "You think you can conquer the galaxy? You think you can erase us from existence? You're nothing but a primitive species with a weapon, and that will not be enough to stop us." Foster's gaze hardened. "You underestimate humanity's resolve. We didn't come to conquer, we came to survive. And now, the galaxy will learn what happens when Earth is pushed too far. You're not just fighting a weapon, Vex. You're fighting a species that has been under the heel of empires like yours for far too long." Vex's face contorted with rage, but it was clear that the power had shifted. His fleet was in shambles. His empire was on the brink of collapse. "You will regret this," Vex spat, his voice barely a whisper. "You've set the galaxy on fire, and when it burns, you will burn with it." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. The crew of the Terran warship didn't need to be told what came next. They had already seen the galaxy's response. Fear, confusion, and a growing realization that humanity had awakened a force far beyond what the galaxy had ever anticipated. Foster took a deep breath, his mind focused. "All hands, prepare for Phase 2. We'll finish what we started." The Terran warship, still cloaked and invisible to the alien sensors, continued its assault. The remaining Nizari ships, in their panic, were trying to regroup. Their once proud fleet was scattered, their leaders uncertain, and their communications scrambled. Every time the alien forces thought they had regained control, the Terran warship struck again, leaving them disoriented, unable to react with anything resembling coordination. Meanwhile, the galaxy's other factions were beginning to take notice. The once secure reign of the alien empires was crumbling. From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, other species were watching, waiting, trying to decide how to respond to the unprecedented rise of humanity. Some saw the Terran warship's assault as an opportunity, an opening to reclaim power from the weakening alien factions. Others, more cautious, sought to negotiate with Earth, fearful of the consequences of engaging in another galactic war. Foster had anticipated this as well. The galaxy would be divided, with factions either seeking to join Earth's growing power or resisting it. The warship's continued assault was sending a message not only to the alien fleets, but to every species that had ever underestimated humanity. "Commander," May said, her voice steady but concerned, "we're picking up multiple signals from various factions. Some of them appear to be sending requests for a ceasefire. Others are attempting to broker a peace." Foster didn't flinch. "Peace," he said coldly, "after everything they've done to humanity? No, there is no peace to be had." He turned to face May. "Keep pushing forward. We're not here to negotiate. We're here to make sure the galaxy understands that Earth is no longer a doormat. The time for peace will come, but only on our terms. May nodded in agreement, her eyes hardening with resolve. Understood, sir. As the warship cut through the alien fleet, the next stage of the assault began. Foster's orders were clear: destroy the heart of the Nazari Empire. Their central command station, once an impregnable fortress, was now within reach. The alien forces, still reeling from the loss of their fleets, were unable to mount a credible defense. The Terran warship, with its cloaking systems and advanced weapons, moved through the chaos with surgical precision, leaving nothing but devastation in its wake. The alien stations that once served as the backbone of the Nazari Empire were now reduced to rubble, their debris floating through space like the remnants of a once great civilization. The alien leaders had underestimated humanity, and they were paying the price for it now. Back on the Terran warship, Foster watched as the destruction unfolded on the holographic map. The command center of the Nazari Empire was crumbling. Their leadership, their power, their ability to retaliate, all of it was fading, replaced by the unyielding might of Earth's new weapon. "Sir," May said quietly, her voice breaking the stillness, "we've received another transmission. The alien fleet is in full retreat. They're asking for terms." Foster's gaze remained fixed on the destruction. Terms? They had their chance. Tell them, if they want to live, they must surrender. This war is over. A low hum filled the room as the Terran warship's cloaking field disengaged, revealing its immense form in full. The battle was won. The galaxy had been irrevocably changed. Humanity had made its statement, and it was undeniable. "Send the message to every corner of the galaxy," Foster ordered, his voice carrying the weight of everything they had fought for. "This is Earth's time now, and if anyone dares to challenge us again, they'll feel the same wrath we've shown today." As the Terran warship turned its gaze toward the remaining alien fleets, the message was clear. Humanity had risen from the ashes, and it would never again be a forgotten species. The galaxy had burned, but it had forged something stronger in the process. And that something was Earth. The Nazari Empire's capital, once a jewel in the galaxy, now lay in ruins. The towering spires that had once been symbols of the Empire's strength were reduced to nothing more than broken rubble. The fleet that had once protected it was decimated, scattered across the stars in pieces. The Terran warship, silent and ever-present, moved slowly through the remains of the alien stronghold, its cloaking device deactivated for the first time in days. The galaxy had been forever altered by the emergence of this single human vessel, and now the rest of the galaxy's powers could only watch as Earth set its terms. Commander Michael Foster stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the broken remains of the Nazari capital. The battle was over. The war, in a sense, had been won, but there was still a great deal of work to do. The galaxy was in chaos, fractured by the Terran invasion. The alien factions that had once ruled the stars were now reeling, their empires broken, their futures uncertain. "Report, Lieutenant May," Foster said, his voice calm, though beneath the surface there was a quiet intensity. The weight of their victory was sinking in. The price of their survival had been high, and now the true cost of this war would be revealed. May turned toward him, her face marked by exhaustion, but her expression was resolute. "Sir, the Nazari Command Center is down. All their primary military communications have been destroyed. The remaining fleet has scattered, and we've intercepted multiple requests for a ceasefire. There are other factions now reaching out to us, including the Krill, the Orson, and several smaller empires. Some are seeking peace, others are offering their allegiance." Foster's jaw tightened. He knew this moment would come. The galaxy, faced with the sudden and overwhelming power of Earth, was unsure how to react. The same factions that had once ignored humanity were now scrambling for survival or bargaining for their own place in the new order. Peace was a concept Foster had never planned for. It wasn't his role to broker it. His mission had always been survival, and now humanity had the upper hand. He turned back toward the view screen, watching the final remnants of the Nizari Empire's fleet retreating into deep space, their coordinates lost in the chaos. They had learned a brutal lesson. Earth was no longer the weak, backward planet they had dismissed. Humanity had arrived, and they were not leaving. "Lieutenant, open a channel to the remaining alien fleets," Foster ordered. "Let them hear our message." As May worked to establish the communication link, Foster stood still, his mind going over the steps he needed to take. The galaxy had witnessed the sheer destructive force of the Terran Star-Annihilator. The power that Earth now wielded was beyond anything the galaxy had ever experienced. But what did that mean for humanity's place in the universe? The desire for peace was tempting, but it wasn't what Foster sought. He wasn't here to negotiate. He was here to ensure humanity's future. The communication link hummed to life, and the image of several alien commanders appeared on the screen. They were from different factions, some members of the Nizari coalition, others from smaller, independent systems. All of them bore the same expression: fear. Foster's gaze swept across the group, his eyes hardening. They had seen their empire fall. They had witnessed the power of Earth's weapon, but they hadn't seen the full scope of humanity's resolve. "This is Commander Michael Foster of the Terran warship," he said, his voice steady and calm. "Your fleets have been defeated. Your empires broken, your systems crippled. You are at the mercy of Earth now." One of the alien leaders, a pale insectoid species from the Krill Empire, spoke up. "We beg you, Terran. We've lost everything. Our fleets are scattered. Our colonies are in ruins. We can offer no resistance." Foster's eyes narrowed. "You're not asking for mercy. You're asking for survival. But mercy isn't something we offer lightly. Earth has been trampled by empires like yours for centuries. You had your chance to stop this. You failed." The Krill leader's eyes flickered with desperation. "Please, we can negotiate. We can form an alliance. You will be the most powerful force in the galaxy. Think of the benefits. Your people will prosper, as will ours." Foster shook his head slowly. "You still don't understand. This isn't about prosperity. It's about survival. Earth will not be a subordinate to anyone. You are not negotiating for peace. You are negotiating for your lives." The alien commanders shifted uneasily. The once proud alien empires, which had controlled entire sectors of space for eons, were now facing extinction. The humans, with their newly awakened weapon, were rewriting the rules of galactic power. But Foster wasn't done. He had one final message to deliver. "This is your only choice," Foster continued, his voice cutting through the tension. "Surrender completely. Accept Earth's dominance, and you will be spared. Resist, and you will be wiped from existence, just like the Nizari." Silence filled the room as the alien leaders processed his words. Their eyes flickered nervously, and one by one they looked toward each other, considering their options. They had nothing left. Their fleets were shattered, their colonies destroyed. Earth had proven that it could annihilate them in an instant. Finally, the Krill leader spoke, his voice trembling. "We surrender. We accept Earth's terms. Please, spare us." Foster nodded, a small but cold smile crossing his face. "Wise choice." He turned to May. "Inform the alien factions that Earth will no longer tolerate any resistance. Their future will be determined by our terms, and we will be watching closely. They will have to prove their worth if they want to remain in the Galaxy's new order." May nodded and quickly began working to send the message out to the galaxy. The alien commanders on the screen remained silent, their heads bowed in acceptance. The galaxy, for all its vastness, had just been reshaped in an instant. The warship's engines hummed softly as the vessel began to turn its course toward the next phase of the plan. The immediate danger had passed, but Foster knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's power was now on full display, and the other factions would either fall in line or be crushed. Earth's dominance was no longer a question, it was an undeniable reality. As the communication channel closed, Foster turned back toward the view screen. His mind raced with the implications of this victory. Earth had won, but the battle for control of the galaxy was far from over. There were still factions that would not bend easily, still species that would fight to maintain their power. But humanity had the advantage now. They had a weapon that no one could match, and Foster knew that it would be used to maintain peace on Earth's terms. The galaxy would have to adapt, or it would burn. A few hours later, the Terran warship entered deep space, leaving the broken remnants of the Nazari fleet behind. Earth's message had been sent across the galaxy, and now it was time for humanity to enforce its will. Foster stood once again at the helm, his fingers lightly resting on the control panel. The silence was broken by the voice of Lieutenant May, who spoke with a tone of reverence. "Commander, we've received a transmission from the Krill. They've accepted our terms and are offering their resources in exchange for peace." Foster more nodded, though his expression was unreadable. "Good, let them come. But this is just the first step. We need to make sure they understand their place." He turned toward the rest of the crew, who were watching him with a mix of awe and respect. "Humanity will no longer be passive. We have the power to reshape the galaxy, and that is exactly what we will do. No one will ever dare threaten Earth again." As the Terran warship glided through the stars, Foster's thoughts turned to the future. Earth had emerged victorious, but there was still much to be done. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's place within it would have to be earned every step of the way. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had come to claim its future, and the galaxy would burn if anyone dared to stop them.